actually upgrade the whole area, including your lot that's in the ditch. And I'll be in the ditch in 3 months, and you will still be in a tent outside because your bitch ass can't move in yet. Oh, everyone loves me, honey. Guess what they say about you behind your back? Snooze fest. Let me pull your chair for you. Kenya.
We are back to talk about the Real Housewives of Atlanta Season 8. We're talking about a return and a new face on the cast. We'll start with Shereé. We mentioned her in part 1 of Season 8. She's back for the first time since Season 4, I think.
Have you seen a season with Shereé?
Yeah, we watched Season 3 and 4 together. Oh. She was on both of those.
Okay.
Which is how I knew about Chateau Shereé, because the last time we saw her in Season 4, it was still being built, and here in Season 8, it is still being built 4 or more years later.
Yeah.
Immediately, Shereé gets into it with Kenya.
Cynthia! Ooh, look what the cat drug in. She by Shereé. Shereé and Marlo together. The last time the three of us were together, honey, we were in an African village and Shereé and Marlo were speaking in African tongues. Oh, no! I know, yeah. We're neighbors. I live like 500 feet from here. I can walk to you. Wow. Okay, that is awesome. Yeah. With the tax liens that are against Chateau Shereé, it just might be the future home of the IRS. Shade! You're in Chateau Shereé. I'm building Chateau Shereé still. Yeah, it takes time. My neighbor asked me when I first introduced myself to her, oh, do you know the woman down at the end of the street? Yeah, I kind of know who she is. Well, they have been complaining to the city about your house. What was that have to do with anything, anybody, and I'm just... The whole neighborhood was asking about the house. Who's the whole neighborhood? Well, my neighbor. That's weird. Really? Yeah, this is just people talking in the neighborhood. Classic Kenya, honey. Picking a fight and talking about people that she does not even know.
Her reintroduction.
Kenya gets into it with Shereé.
Correct. That's what Kenya does, is get into it
she
with
does,
people.
Yeah.
What was that even about? They were at a party for Cynthia's party.
So another party for Cynthia and her failing marriage. Well, actually, this party was about her sunglasses.
Exactly.
But I mean, like, the center of it was still her failing marriage, because there was, like, definitely a sub-storyline with her and Peter. Mm-hmm. Basically, Kenya was meeting Shereé for the first time, and she was like, yeah, Shereé, the neighbors want to know, like, what's going on with all those tax liens on your house, you know? Also, it's kind of like an eyesore to the neighborhood. Were you planning on finishing?
Yes, because Kenya is moving super next to Shereé.
Basically, they're next-door neighbors.
It's odd that Shereé is still building her house 4 years later. Is it because she's hard strapped for cash, or is it because she was off the show for 4 years? She don't have any cash. Every time we've seen Shereé in the other seasons I've seen 3 and 4, she's like, the story is her not having money, I guess. We saw her kids sleeping on the floor at one point.
Oh, that's not.
Did we not see that in season 3 or 4?
We did, but like, I'm not gonna make fun of that.
I mean, I'm not making fun of it either.
Yeah.
But that's what the show was editing it to be.
That is true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I guess for a little more context too, like, because we didn't watch I don't think we watched season 1 at all, right? Like, Shereé kind of comes in as this, football player's wife. They may have been going through a divorce. I think they were either like actively about to separate or in a divorce, but you do kind of watch this fall from grace with Shereé, where like she loses all of the luxuries of being an NFL player's wife. And so I do think that the editing has been intentional that way. And then there was a whole other storyline with Bob and not paying child support. And I don't know. It's hard to say if like Bob was just one of those parents that was like, I'm not going to pay you child support because I take care of my kids. But either way, if he's not paying, like, that's a lifestyle adjustment that she has to deal with. And like, I mean, that happens, right? Like, I don't think it's through any fault of her own.
No.
I mean, she's working, clearly. I mean, she was on Housewives trying to earn a check. So
that's true. Her story again this season is her and Bob again, which I didn't
weird.
care for.
Yeah.
But honestly, Shereé was one of my favorite parts of the season in general. I feel like she was always there stirring the pot. Mm-hmm. She was always bringing information to other women to talk behind their backs or what was being said about their backs, which is something she's always done as well in the other seasons I've seen her do. She's very good at stirring the pot and making sure everyone knows what everybody else is saying about them.
She likes to do it under the guise of like, oh, I just don't like being fake. And it's like, Shereé.
I can see that, though. Much. But I also think she enjoys stirring the pot.
No, she enjoys stirring the pot first and foremost. But it sounds good to say, well, I just think we should all be being honest. And it's like, that's true. But sometimes when you say something in the comfort, of a small group of people, and you're just venting and trying to get your feelings off, everything doesn't need to be brought to the group for a larger discussion about transparency and honesty. Because you're allowed to have feelings about people and it not need to be brought up to them. Now, there have been instances, though, where like people are being fake.
Yeah.
Like the whole Kim Fields husband thing. All of those hoes implied that he was gay. So it's like, in that instance, valid bone to bring back.
And that is who we have to talk about next is Kim Fields. And the season, at first anyway, is without Nene. Is Kim really supposed to be a replacement for Nene in this season?
Who said that?
Well, I'm asking that because if she was, it was a major failure.
No. I don't know what gave you that impression at all.
So she's just a replacement for Claudia?
No, I think that this is what they do. Like, this is just, we're really getting into the era of one-off housewives. I don't think I think next season everybody's the same except for Kim, but like we're about to see a couple housewives come and go for quite a few seasons. It keeps it fresh. It like changes up the dynamic a bit. If you always have a new girl, you always have like a new girl being hazed, and that's an interesting storyline. Interesting storyline. So
yeah, I guess the problem is that I loved Claudia so much. I thought that she brought some good stuff.
No, Claudia was great.
Kim, a very boring person.
Yeah.
I think it's just worse that she's not only quote unquote boring because she's a family woman. Sure, that's great. Mm-hmm. But A, it's television, it's reality TV. You got to bring something. And B, she's so judgmental about everything. Like, do you not know what show you signed up for? That's what annoyed me the most, is that she was judgmental and acting like
a grandma.
Do you have a problem with me?
Not at all, sweetheart.
Well, it seems like you do. Some of the things that you have done with me, I feel like you're acting duplicitous.
Oh, good word.
Ooh, big word. Like, who are you talking to? Your child? Such a pretentious piece of is what she is. It doesn't make me feel good that I've only been nice to you, and I don't feel like I'm getting the same. That's why we're sitting here.
Oh, my God. Well, I'm sorry that you felt uncomfortable. And if something that was said rang true, then maybe there's something to that.
See, that's being condescending.
How is that being condescending?
I would have to jump in and say that I do see that you probably have been a little condescending in your tone, like you're the teacher and she's like your student. I think that sometimes Kim can be pretty judgmental.
Bring back class. Yeah.
So yeah, Kim for me, overall, like she had her moments. I liked her defending herself from Kenya, which we will get to, but overall, a not needed addition to the show.
Yeah, I have nothing to add.
Well, then we will talk about her main story, which was Kenya and Kim not getting along.
There's no issue. There's no issue.
As
just
you
so we're
said
clear.
Before, I'm telling you that there is one, and everything.
Well, there's no issue on my side.
You basically stated, I'm a one-woman show, which means I'm not going to work with Kenya. What I'm not going to do is sit here and again be disrespectful.
You are famous for telling me what you are not going to do.
To talk to you.
You have not tried to grow up. You are at the kiddie table.
I'm sorry, you're the 50-year-old woman that has to tell me about
and even
growing
if I were, I certainly don't look it.
Oh, you don't look it? I think someone has told you some lies.
My elevator doesn't go down to this floor.
Oh, let's stand up and clap. Let's. You win the award. Let me pull your chair for you. Kenya, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let's go. Don't do that. Here you go.
Was this Kenya hazing Kim? Did Kenya feel threatened by Kim's film career and the whole Cynthia situation where they're going to make a commercial for Cynthia's eyeglasses? And the story is, which you said when we were watching might have been production, that Cynthia wanted both Kenya and Kim to direct it. But then she ends up going with Kim because Kenya misses a meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so stupid. Like, I think that was absolutely production. Like, why are you pitting these two girls? And it's like, she's not pitting them together because she's trying to get them to work together. But, like, clearly they don't fuck with each other. Pick one or the other. You don't need both. And, like, honestly, neither of them. Listen, I'm not going to proclaim to be experts on, Kim Field's IMDb. But neither of them really seem to be that well known for directing and producing. So truthfully, Cynthia could have just hired an actual director. But one probably has a bigger IMDb with acting, just being sure, but like, I don't know, it was just so unnecessary. Kenya's definitely intimidated by Kim's history in Hollywood. But I think that because Kim is so judgmental, it comes off as her being like, oh, I think I'm better than this. I'm better than you. I was on Living Single. I'm Tootie. And it's like, all right now. So I do kind of understand why Kenya gave Kim such a hard time, but I do think some of it was rooted in jealousy about Kim's career and also jealousy that Kim was the one Cynthia decided to go to. And I do think, like, based on Kenya's little short, her show that she put together, which was hilarious. I remember watching it on YouTube like many years back. It was fucking funny. I think Kenya would have done a much better job because that little weak ass commercial in Jamaica wasn't it for me. But
so I agree that, as I already said, that Kim comes off judgmental. So I do get that part from Kenya, but Kenya went too far sometimes. Like, was she not aggressive herself with Kim at times?
No, pulling out the chair completely unacceptable is, I would argue, a form of assault. Like, you're invading someone's personal space, unacceptable. The difference between Kenya and Portia is that Kenya took immediate accountability for it and was like, that was disgusting. I shouldn't have done it. I think she could have done a little more self-flagellating because it was not okay, especially having been on the receiving end of violence. Like, you just cannot touch people. It was never that serious.
But what I did do is I recognized that I was out of line for doing that. And I apologized to Kim because it's no question I was wrong. Kim, I do apologize for moving your seat out. I think it was out of line. Great.
Andy, it's funny because I also apologized as well. It was never really accepted.
You have never apologized to me for doing anything.
And I think, like, someone said it in the comments, like, Kenya made it popular to, like, be contrived on this show. I agree. And I do think Kenya has these moments to, like, secure her next season. But, like, that was too far. That's way too far.
That's what I've always said about Kenya since our season 6 reviews. I feel like Kenya's just always an antagonist, but it's not always natural. It always comes across as almost sometimes desperate to be in a storyline.
I think it's natural. I get what you're saying. I think it's natural in that, like, I do think Kenya's kind of that. I think she just likes to poke the bear. I think she's messy. I think it amuses her, but she's also definitely doing it to, like, stay relevant and to stay on the show. And I think I don't think Kenya wants to be the Nene of the show, but I think Kenya wants that air of, like, this is my show. I'm the star of this show.
We'll get to my opinion on that soon. But you touched upon a little bit to end this video is one of the big things that came about with Kim and her husband was the women talking about her husband's sexuality, that everybody thinks he's gay. They call him Chrissy instead of Chris. And most of the women did partake in that.
I know y'all have heard the rumors.
What's the rumors?
They call him Christy.
Now, where did you hear that from?
I have been in Hollywood for 20 years. I have worked with her when she was on Living Single, honey. He's called Chrissy. And I'm not talking about Three's Company.
Stop! He's high-strung and a little sassy.
He's not like a masculine man.
Real delicate.
I can't tell you if he can host Fashion Queens or not. But he has been on Broadway, he says, a few times, and he does tap dance.
Girl, he's a regular Bojangles.
I never got a gay vibe from Chris.
First thing that comes up when I Google his name is Kim Fields and her fruity baby's father. There was some things said about your husband being fruity or gay.
Don't let me cut these chicks right now with my mouth.
All of them except Cynthia and Candy, who wasn't there.
Yeah, and Andy called them out at the reunion.
Yeah, as he should have. It gets really fucking old. Like, the gay rumor. It just gets so old. It's so old. And, like, time and time again, I always just want to say, like, and what if he is? Who gives a shit? What if he is bi and likes men? Who cares? Like, it's disgusting because they're speaking about these things as though it like makes him less of a man, less of a husband, less of a provider, and like it somehow, you know, is an affront to his character. And it's like, but it's not though. If he wants to fucking be the little spoon and he wants Kim's hulking shoulders to, you know, be the big spoon, that's okay. Like, I feel it's just, Andy said it perfectly. It's giving gay bashing. I would have said homophobic. Let's use the big H here. It's homophobic. And it like, it's so funny because I feel like especially like Nene, you know, like a lot of these women like to pride themselves on the gays. Yes, honey, yes, child. They love to take, you know, that classic gay black culture, which does also come from black women too. But like, you can still participate in like that aspect of the community and be homophobic. So I'm glad that he called that out because it's getting tired. I feel like every fucking season there's a new gay. And then, you know, they had the sub tweets at Don Juan, who I think might actually be gay, but like, you know, oh, Don Juan, your panties are in a bunch. And it's like, all right, like, yes, Don Juan's a bitch, but why does it have to be related back to his sexuality? Who gives a fuck? You're being homophobic.
It's true. I thought Chris did well with it. I think both in general and at reunion, he kind of did give and it's not that like so what, because I don't actually think he's gay, but
right.
I feel like he played it off as though so what if I was kind of
right. Exactly. Who gives a shit? This is the person I married and have 2 kids with. Next.